Welcome to Exploring Art Mediums, where we take different kinds of art supplies and get creative. And tonight we're using acrylics, or no, we're using chalk pastels kind of as watercolor. We'll be drawing a lot and sketching, and then we add water to it. So I hope all of you have your water buckets ready nearby with paintbrush, and we will get going. Okay, so let me switch my camera. This is going to be so much fun. No sketching needed. Okay, so this is, you probably got the attachment with the picture, so you're aware that we're going to just be doing lots of background scribbling first, and then we'll add some water to that. And while that's drying, we'll add some more scribbles, and then we'll start making some shapes up on top, like a second layer, okay? So how we do this is we want our acrylics. Just pick out some pinks and oranges and yellows. You can just start, let me zoom in. I'm just going to start by laying our chalk on its side, and we're just gonna go ahead and scribble. I may do it in a couple of places. I really do like the yellow. It adds brightness. Okay, so that's over the whole thing. See how much I did? Okay, so that's my brightest color. So next I'm going to go on down the color wheel, basically. So the next one I'm going to use is just kind of a peachy orange. And you just blend that in also. Here they come. Okay, well, welcome you guys that are just joining us. If you'll grab your paper and your chalk, we're just getting started. We've already taken on the side of our chalk and we have scribbled it on. I started with the yellow and just went in places, not covering the whole thing. The next color I did was orange. And so there's that. And then the next color, let's go with a darker orange. And I'm going to concentrate now, kind of doing a few little circles.
Oh my goodness.
And I know, we started right on time tonight.
I had trouble getting in.
Okay, so then the next one, so if you take a look at my finished one, we're going to want a bright pink one over here, a lighter pink here, kind of a rusty, orangey, tan color here, dark pink, and almost the reds. These are finally used with reds. This is orange, and then this is purple. So there's just, we're staying on the, what do you call it, complementary side of the color wheel where things are matching side by side. So I'm just going to take my pink and I'm going to bring this in so you can see it. Maybe that's too far. Okay, and I am going to make my 5 petals. Okay, and then I'm switching to my lighter pink. I'm just going to go around this one, because this is just going to be like a big rose or like a David Austin rose right in the middle. Underneath that is going to be just hiding an orange one, so we'll just do a little bit of that. Off to the side, I'm going to take, it's like a an orange, a brown, like a tan color. And I'm just gonna do like a mustard, like a yellow ochre. Basically like that. Again, I'm gonna just go back to my orange and do some more. What we want is all of the white to be covered. So now that we've got some flower shapes in, go back and with your yellow and your oranges and fill in that. Over here is gonna be our big orange. You guys will not believe how bright this gets when we add water. It's just amazing. And then if I have a red, oh yeah, I do have a red. You guys have a red? Hopefully you have a red, something a little bit darker. I'm just gonna go around with that. You see in the top left? And then I'm also going to repeat that red over here. I'm kind of going around in a little circular motion, just like we used to use with our color crayons, basically. Okay. And then the final one is the purple. And I'm just going to do a little smudge. Oops, right now it's coming out brown because of the yellow underneath. So maybe we'll just leave that. Okay. So I'm going to pause it and let everybody catch up. Okay, so the next step is our water. And you'll want to do a brush, a large, I mean, it's not like a big wide brush. This is a number 12 round. So whatever you've got is fine. You'll just be able to lay down water. Don't feel like you have to cover up the whole thing because we're going to be adding more chalk on the wet water, which is a really fun way to make it really dark. So go ahead and wet your brush in the water and just start moving it. I'm going to come in just so you guys can see a little what I'm doing. Okay, so just wet it and play with it like it's watercolor, okay? You're going to be just covering the whole surface. Some of it has orange and yellow and all sorts of colors in the background. We're just wetting it all. I'm going to go in and do this orange flower. Now, some of your brush strokes can already start to make the shape of your flower. That will help you if you can do that. Just do little strokes to look like petals. And if not, that's fine too. Over here, this red one, I'm going to kind of just do swirls, like C shapes, you know, just go around. Not a lot of definition. In fact, that's really a burnt red. I'm not really thrilled with that color, but I'm going to continue over here with those same flowers. You might leave a center open where you can put a bright color in. I'm going to try to leave this yellow center open. But we've got two big flowers here on the right. Kind of interesting, right? This is chalk and you guys are making watercolor out of it. It's pretty amazing that you can do that. I will say that it doesn't, after it's dried, you can still smudge it. So you have to be careful in that respect that you might want to put a fixative on it afterwards. I'm going to go right in this middle and do this lavender real quick. I made a mistake and it's turning grayish black. So I'm just going to lift it up You guys might have, there must be a component in here that's got a lot of gray to make it a lavender. And I'll show you what we can do with that while it's wet. Okay, so let's keep going. Let's just keep, I'm gonna paint the middle. Now this is a big rose again. My center is about right here. Again, just start with those C shapes. I don't know, let me go in again so you can see. Kind of hard to see what I'm doing, but I'm just going around. Okay. Over on the left corner is my pink. And I'm going to avoid getting that dark pink in the center. I'm going to emphasize the 5 petals. So I'm wetting it all the way out to the outer edge and back in. Okay. That turned out great. I really like that color. That pink is very pretty. And then I'm going around the outside, all the corners, everywhere. We're blending that background. Okay, so then down below this big rose thing is a tiny, it's just a smidgen of a flower. Do you guys see that? Just underneath this pink, but it's overlapping. Do you see it's in front of the rose? And so go ahead and do that in yellow. And remember, this is still our first coat. We still need to put some watercolor on top of it. And I'm going to go back in and add yellow to this flower. Okay. Over on the far right is that yellow, kind of a brownish color. It's almost like a lily, I guess, is the shape of it. You want to do pointy little petals that reach out. Okay. Then we actually have another pink flower over here, but I don't have any pink. All I have down here is orange. So we'll be going back and adding some orange on top of this. I mean, some pink on top of this. And then that brings me all the way back to the beginning. So I'm going to pause it and let everybody catch up at this point. So my whole thing is mostly covered with water. I don't want to let it to completely dry. So this pause is not going to be very long, but I want everybody to catch up. Okay, so I'm trying to lay down some colors while it's still wet. And so I'm going to go back in and I'm going to make my hydrangea blossoms, which are a 5-point star kind of thing. And I'm just adding purple up in here. And then we'll go back in and do a yellow center on those. Okay, and then this orange flower right here on the big, I think it's a mum, right? Or I don't know. I think it's a mum. I'm gonna take a dark. I want some definition, so I'm going to be making some orange marks in there, and they're tongued. It's like a little snake tongue, so it's notched in the end. And you're just going to go around and add these petals. If you don't have a dark orange, that's fine. Just go around with your regular orange again, and that'll define it more too. It doesn't have to be the orange. Okay, so see how it's starting to get a definition now? And then we'll also go back in with the greens and put all the stems in and things. Right now, that's good for now. We'll go over it with some water. On this red one in the corner, we're going to go over with some pink. We're actually going to try to make this a little bit lighter. So I'm just adding more chalk marks in it, kind of going around and doing C shapes. I'm going to repeat that. Let me show you up close. I went around and did C's with a hot pink. And I'm going to do that same thing up on those two flowers up on top. So over here, I'm just going to do that as two. So I'm just starting around the middle. And I'm making just little C shapes to make petals. And same with this guy. And once we go over the whole thing with our second coat of chalk, we're going to wet that again and put it in. Okay, I'm going over to the bottom left now, to this beautiful pink flower. I want to add a little bit of brightness, so I'm going to go with the yellow. And I'm just going up like that and making, what do you call it? Kind of little stamen looking thing. And when that gets wet, it'll be gorgeous. And while I'm at it, I'm going to add a dark red in the middle. but I'm doing little circles. So this reminds me, what flower does this remind me of? Like a hibiscus, maybe? Something like that. Okay. So let's tackle our big one in the middle. It's very flat looking. It doesn't have a lot of definition. So what we want to do is we want to start dark in the middle, and then we're going to switch to our light pink as we're coming out around the perimeter. So right now I'm just going to start with some dark pink in the middle. And that's about all I want to do with that pink. And then I want to come in with the lighter pink. And then you start making those wavy petals towards the outside. They're all full-blown open. Okay. Now it's going to get covered up down here at the bottom with our yellow flower. Speaking of that, I'm going to go back in with the yellow and make a really strong yellow flower right here. So you can add your petals down here at the bottom to accentuate that flower. And it's just showing half of the flower. And you can have it come up into our rose up here. Okay. And then the only other thing we have to do before we can go over it again, actually we have two. We're going to do a little bit of a definition on this rose here. Maybe it's not so much a rose as a, what would you call this? Maybe a fluffy poppy or something like that. Kind of at a loss for flowers today. It's ruffly, so maybe a rose of Sharon, which is a hibiscus family flower. And I'm just giving it some petals. Do you see that? Those are just like elongated hearts, basically. And then we can actually add a like a bright pink. We might add some watercolor into this one. Okay. And then for this one down here in the corner, I'm just going to accentuate the petals. And then we'll be ready to add our second layer of water. You know what? I think we're going to go ahead and add some greenery. So think of each stem that you have and see if you can bring it down. We're trying to make them all come to the center. So we would want all the stems to come down into here. So that means that on this side, I'll do some petals, but the stem might come right here. So I might do the petal. I'm going to do the stem coming in right there. Okay, so the very first thing I'm going to do is just draw all the stems. And then this other stem, starts up here, but it comes down too. And I made it a little bit different color green. You don't have two colors of green, don't worry about it. I'm going to bring this stem right here. So just find where your stems are, and then we'll be able to move on from there. And once you get the stems, then you can go back and add your leaves around it, again to complement it. So you can start sketching your leaves. Some of them will go off the board. Actually, I'm going to make that one darker. And back over here. I'm just going to say there's some green behind this rose. Even though you can't see all the petals, there's going to be some. Okay. You guys ready to add some water to this and see what we've got? Okay. Let me zoom in. I'll just go to start at the top corner again. This time I'm going to switch to my medium brush. I want to be able to control the water in the petals a little. So I'm going to start with this orange one. I'm just bringing it alive by going in, still making sure that the tongue petal shape is still there. Not even really coloring in the middle of the petal. It's yellow, and I think that gives a nice highlight. I just wanted to remind you guys, next month, we're going to be having this class starting on Monday nights so that I can still teach it, even though I've left the library. I want to be able to hang on to this class. So they've allowed me to move it. So hopefully you'll be able to join me next month. We're going to be doing a pickup truck full of pumpkins in it and some watercolor calligraphy, which is fun. You guys see that okay? I'm just really following the outline of that chalk. I'm just making it vibrant. The nice thing about these chalk pastels, because it's really the same kind of minerals that watercolors are made out of, you know, is that you get a really vibrant color right off the bat, whereas watercolor, it seems like you have to build it up, right? And this one, you can just start painting. It's kind of fun. So I'm going to add a little bit more detail. You guys can too. It just glides. It's so fun when it's wet. It just, I want you to try it a little bit. Just to get the feel of that. Okay. I'm going to move left and do this red rose. Again, I'm just going to wet it and see what it does before I really try to make it look like a rose. Just going over my hot pink. Trying to leave some light pieces showing through, which is actually the background, the paper color. Okay. You can try dabbing it, just like we do in watercolor with a paintbrush. Okay, so now I'm moving down. I think what I want to do is kind of go around these petals a little bit before I start the water. Again, I don't really want to mess up the mixing that's already taking place. I want to allow the yellow lines to do their thing, which are turning orange actually when I add water. So we may have to go over those again with chalk. I'm going to barely dot those purple innards, the inside of this flower, because I want them to still stay dotted, if that makes sense. I am going to cover, I am painting the green of the stems and the leaves. Okay. So this yellow flower has an orange middle, and then when we go back with the black outline, that will define, I'll just do those little dots in there. I don't know if you can see those little dots. Can you see those little dots? Okay. So you can see that a lot of definition is made with the black, and we'll do that later. We're just going to make an orange center, and the rest is yellow. So I actually need to put orange down. And again, if you want to go back and do extra little lines, you can with the colored chalk, like a contrasting color, and then smooth that out. I'm moving up to the big David Austin rose in the middle now. Really takes a lot of water because the chalk just absorbs it. And see, there's a lot of orange in this, on this side of it. I don't know why. So I'm going to take my chalk that's kind of wet. I'm going to go back and do a few more little pink petals. Oh, for November, I've already planned November. We're going to be doing a pouring. I ordered some wood pumpkins that are about this big, 6-inch big wood pumpkins, and we're going to do acrylic pouring with the Floetrol mixed in with the acrylic paint and the machine oil. And it makes, I put a picture of it on the calendar. So go look in November. I know it's just right before Thanksgiving, but it's really not a Halloween pumpkin. It's more of a turquoisey fall pumpkin. And so that's for November. Okay, how you guys doing? So I've done this side. I still need to go over on this side. So I'm just plugging along. I've got this dark purple. I might put some other purples underneath there for shadow. Ooh, you have to be very careful with this purple, because it runs off into the other colors, and you want to keep those yellow centers. So maybe a little more restraint with the water when you're doing the hydrangea.
Debbie, could you push down your?
Oh yeah, you guys can't even see it. Thank you. What hydrangea you say? Let me bring it in even. I'm actually going to go back in with some light. Have some fun with this wet chalk. It's kind of fun. And I'll wait to go back in there and do some more yellow on top of that. But I'm going to just paint the stem and then move on to the rose, or these little pink, whatever they are. Let's see, I guess our center is right there. By skipping around and leaving some open spots, you're actually making some highlights. And so that's important for these flowers to have some, so it's not all flat. We're trying to give it variety. Okay. Hello. Let's see. Mm. Okay. So this one, I just want to brush up from the bottom. I'm using the flat side of my brush. And I'm just going up. Just like the way it would grow. So in here, we're gonna have to zoom out. Okay, so we've got a lot of green going on in here. I'm just gonna try to define it as, first of all, the stem. But then it's got this greeny stuff. Like it's like the tendrils were wrapped around the bud and then it kind of opened out. And then I've got this big leaf off to the right and off to the left. Now I'm all the way down to the corner. Just kind of laying my paintbrush on the side, scooping them up along, just trying to dissolve the chalk and let it do its thing. Okay, that's that. Okay, I'm gonna just pause the video so you guys can catch up. Okay, so our paper is on the dry side, drying. Just a minute about what you're gonna use. If you're gonna use India ink, you probably have to wait till it's totally dry. We can test it. In fact, I've got some, but I don't know where it is. And then we can also do, I'm gonna be using my watercolor paint and see how that goes, if I get a true enough black. If not, I'll try the India ink and see if that works. Your felt pens you can use to do the outlining with, but you probably would use a whole felt pen on this class just because the chalk absorbs it still. So what we're going to do is just add details, and I'm just going to show you. We're just going to go around the 4 petals of the hydrangea. We're going to outline the fork petals of the mom, I guess. And then we'll go around and do the petals of the orange, or that, and then of the roses. And then we'll halt there and let everybody catch up. So here we go. So you're gonna want to make kind of a creamy consistency if you're using paint. If you're using India ink, you'll probably not have to do anything to it. Marker, same thing, you can just go in. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this orange flower. And it looks really dark. And you can disguise a lot of flaws this way. We want these petals in the front to be a little bit shorter because they're pointing towards us. And then the ones in the back a little bit longer. And then they start getting tucked behind the other ones. So we can just continue on out like that. And it kind of radiates out, and so it starts from the center and goes on out, and so that's how we have to paint it. Try not to do really straight lines. You want to have them curved because hardly anything in nature is totally straight like that. Most petals curve because they've unfurled. Well, this black watercolor works better than I thought it was going to. I use gouache on it too. And that seems to work well. The thing about gouache, remember, it's opaque, and so it tended to dry and disappear a little bit once it was dry, which was surprising to me. Okay, I'm gonna do an extra row of petals. You guys just have to do the best you can with what you've drawn, and just keep radiating out. It'll be fine. It'll look good. Okay. Okay, so this one on the left is a little tighter. It's more like a mum or a button flower. And these ones, even though they're the same colors, are a little bit more open. They're more of like a rose. So I'm going to do little tiny circles on the one on the left, just for variety. You don't have to. You can do the same, all three the same. But I'm going to go ahead and make it quite small. And that's good. You see that okay? I can come in. We need some music to play, huh? Okay, so that's that one. Okay, so the purple one, let me go in just a little more. Purple one, it's got these little purple things, so I'm just kind of accentuating that. I'll just go around these circles. Like that. And then I'm going to draw out some black lines. What I mean by that is on top of this yellow that's in here, so you start pressing down at the base of these purple dots and you fling it out. Just gently, wispy, always on a curve. Never do straight lines, you want them curved. And they can curve opposite ways. Then on the outside, so I'm going to go around all the petals and they come in all the way back to the center. And then on the outside edge of them, here, let me just show you this one petal. Kind of in the middle where it kind of dips. It's different on every flower, but you're just going to bring some lines in at the top of the petal. Do everybody see that? So you know how to accentuate that little flower. Okay, so again, come over here. It's got them. Oops. Okay, now we can go ahead and do the stems and the leaves while we're on this side too. So go ahead and just do a line down on each side of the stem. And for the leaf, the leaf, I went in and I did lines. So you're going to go down and do the middle of the leaf and the veins on the leaf. So first, I'm just going to do the stem. Again, when you do the veins on the leaves, you want to do a curve. Now, if you look back at some of the black that you've already done, it may have faded. The chalk absorbs a lot of the color, and it might look like it's a light gray, and you'll say, wait, that was black when I did it. You may find that you have to go over it one more time. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and do this. Actually, I should start at the top in case my arm goes through my painting. I don't want to mess that up. So on this one, I'm going to go around all the different hydrangea blossoms, and it's a 4-petal flower. Some of these I don't have the yellow in the middle, but I'm just going to go ahead and draw the circle, and then I'll just dab it with the chalk. Okay, and I went ahead and added a couple of leaves up here at the top. And if you didn't add those, no big deal. Okay, I'm going to start these little pink roses up at the top. Starting in the middle, they're very tight. Again, I'm just following a C shape around. And as I go out, I'm going to make the petals open more, and so they get that ruffly edge. Ooh, that's really black. I made a big, big blob. You have to do them all big and blobby. Okay, I'm ready to tackle the big rose in the middle. It's the same idea. We're just going to give more space between the petals, and also I'm going to go back in and do these little black lines radiating out, these like eyelash lines that we did over here. I'm going to do it on there too. This time I'm going to do it a little more roughly than the little red ones up above. Each petal is going to be a little bit bumpy. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. Okay, so you're just going to go like that and radiate around that way. Getting out from there. Almost like a sun. Okay, and then I'm going to go in and draw some petals. So then we go in here. We're adding kind of a ruffly edge. on them, and then where it's ruffled, you can bring those lines down. Okay. That takes care of that one. 2 more to go, guys. Then we'll be done. We've got 4 minutes. Okay, so I'm just going to do this one. Same thing, just this one, this tulipy thing, we're going to put, this brightest spot, I'm just going to start putting some dots in. So it looks like some stamen are sticking up. On the middle of that flower. And then I need to go and add the little lines again. Since this one has so many jaggedy edges, it gets a lot of lines. And then up from the bottom also. So I'm going to outline the green, make it kind of a petally thing. Kind of, you know, like how underneath a rose has those petals. And then come down with the stem. And then I'm going to come up with some lines as well. This leaf in here doesn't get a lot of definition. I'll just do a couple of lines to make sure it looks like a leaf back there, part of a leaf. Over to the side, this leaf. Oops. Okay. And then our lily is our last flower. Okay, so the lily needs a little bit of extra color. You can either use your chalk, or I'm just going to take my paint and I'm just going to get some red going at the bottom. I don't know if that's what it looks like in real life. I doubt it. Okay. And then the final thing inside that lily, you might have to wait till it dries a little, but it would be to do the black, some black in there. Okay.